Louis then goes to North Carolina and he heads to the AIWF. Dean Puckett offered to talk openly about how his fights are organised. Dean is a wrestling promoter. Perfect mullet, absolutely gorgeous. Wrestles as Rick Diesel, a DJ he goes on to promote his show. She says, Rick's quite the showman. He is the promoter. He's got his U-Haul van with the ring in the back and loads of chairs and 2 boxes of tortilla chips. I looked at them. There's been a thing recently where Matt Cardona has said, wrestling promoters, you have got to start putting bottles of water backstage for the wrestlers. Right? He was like, turn up with water. He said, there was a bit of a sort of schism where promoters are like, why am I going to spend my money to just clear up a load of half-empty bottles at the end of the night? And he's like, if you can't afford water you shouldn't be promoting. You haven't got a show going on. You're a bad businessman. And for a little while, there was a sort of like big thing. And what's happened now is in the last couple of days, every show that a wrestler's at, there's always a photo of them backstage with all the water. So little bits. Matt Cardona, in some ways, has done more to improve the lot of the independent wrestler than anybody else in the history of wrestling. He did a good video the other day, which is about how to merchandise as a wrestler. Right. And I did think to myself, there was nothing in there that was particularly surprising, but I did look at it and I did think, he's just giving out good advice, like a teacher, like a sage. And I just, got a lot of time for him. I looked at those tortilla chips and I was like, my God, is Rick Diesel like a pioneer? Where he's like, I thought, no, I bet they sold them. I bet they sold them at the concession stand. They've gone hardcore, this promotion, since the DJ has seen them.
Yes. So the DJ's like, I saw you, quite the showman. Have you seen this bleeding? Yeah. I've seen it with the thumbtacks and the barbed wire and stuff. Yeah.
He said there was a guy whose head caught on fire, which is just an amazing thing. The AIWF guys, they say that, look, this is just entertainment. The matches are predetermined, but he does also explain that the damage that the matches do isn't fake and the scars aren't fake and everything. And they are just... Rick Diesel and the other chap, Brian Danzig, they are 2 of the sweetest men I think I've ever seen in anything. And again, it ruins this show to some degree because Louis Theroux is more shocked by this show that he sees. They've got him pulling horrified faces, but there are also children present. And the idea, I suppose, is to go, look at this horrible thing that we're watching. And yet there are children here who aren't affected by it. But Louis Theroux is the only person who is pulling these faces of horror. And these guys are so sweet and so nice. There's bits where they talk about Brian Danzig. His job is folding socks all day on an assembly line. And this is
at
what
the end
he
of
does.
the week, he just needs to let loose and wrestle.
Yeah, they have a trainee called Steve, and they show him doing a little session, and he showed how to bump and do the boards of the ring. And Louis will not take a bump. That's the other. I mean, really throw yourself into this fucking show, Louis. He won't take a bump, but so he's like, "Can I run the rope?
Can I just run over there, please?"
And he runs, and it's sort of galumphing and everything. And they look at each other, but they don't kind of go. They just go, look what life has brought us. It's so sweet, and they're properly chuckling, but just out of joy rather than anything else.
Yeah.
What do you do as your day job?
I pair socks. What I do, like that, check and make sure there's no holes. I'll be listening to headphones and thinking about wrestling.
You saw here some very, very poor guys who are working menial jobs, who are also in their spare time going out and creating entertainment and fantasy and play. And it was so uplifting, and there was nothing about that in this. Louis then goes to see a guy called Jody Rushbrook. Again, he says he's working 2 jobs and wrestling is just something that makes him happy. And he shows Louis downstairs how to hit himself with a very thin piece of metal, like a tray, like in a hardcore match. And Louis, there's a bit where he just goes, "Do you sometimes come down here and hit yourself with metal things?" And Jody Rushbrook goes, No. He's very keen for someone to go, "Yes, I'm mentally ill." And then he'll go, "Good, that's what I want." Yeah, fantastic.
Brilliant,
You do it on your own. Oh,
do you think you should be doing that?
You're really ill. Dear. You need to go to an asylum or a hospital.
So do you just come down here and hit yourself with things?
No, I don't.
I mean, that hurts.
Yeah.
I can take lots of little ones.
Yeah.
when you sort of get that, you're just like, everyone he's gone to meet has been charming.
Yeah,
everyone
charming
has been
and
really
worked
nice.
harder than any of the team.
And have explained really clearly to him what
it's about.
What it's all about.
Yeah.
So he goes to see that show in the little high school gym, and there's a backstage meeting, and there's sort of some shots of there's a bloke putting on a kid's like plastic Roman armour set, and a guy with a big disabled badge around his neck.
Yeah.
And you're sort of meant to go look at these misfits. But the guy, Rick Diesel, very quickly says afterwards, oh, they're like my bodyguards in this. And, it's... and actually what they are is a sort of joke.
Yeah.
They are comedy characters who are there to look sort of bad, in the same way that Chris Jericho had Ralphus, his personal security, who was a great big sort of pot-bellied guy who'd wear a crop top with just in pen Jericho personal security written across it. There's sense there that they're sort of going, but these guys do look mentally ill.
Right,
like,
yeah.
But that's the character that they are playing. So I just thought it was all a little bit... The period as well, 1998, this is probably filmed in, goes out in 99, in the cafeteria of the high school where all the wrestlers are sitting. And they do all look like Poundland Steve Austins. They're all shaved heads, they're all black tops and stuff. And Louis goes over to Major Havoc and he says to him, are you going to win or lose tonight? And Major Havoc goes, yeah, win. Like that. And he goes, oh, it's in the script, he says. And he goes, yes.
So you wrestling this evening? How are you feeling?
I feel great.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you ready? You sure?
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to win or lose this evening?
Win.
You're going to win?
Yes.
It's in the script.
Big.
All of them do look like they should be in Making a Murderer. But what that is also is that's talking about a rural poor that exist in America, for whom things like wrestling is one of the few creative outlets that you could necessarily throw yourself into. It's physical, it's fun. Who knows? You get a hot dog and a handshake at the end of the night. But what it is something you can do.
Well, just like after the match, them talking about going to the Waffle House.
Yeah.
And like, what are you going to have at the Waffle House?
A community.
And he's like, yeah, I'm going to have this and I'm going to have an omelette, I think.
Yeah.
But like, that's life, man. That's cool.
And what this is not so much, aren't these wrestlers odd, as in, I've met some really poor people, and their lives very different from mine.
Yeah.
Therefore, weirdos. The little Brian Danzig guy as well. He looks like a sort of like Balls Mahoney if he was a teenager in the 90s. And Louis sort of says to him, there's a lot of kids out there. I don't want you to lose perspective. Fuck off, Mary Whitehouse. So coming in and just telling everyone how to do their job. And he watches it with horror. He thinks that the wrestlers as well have really hurt themselves, and he goes backstage and he's just giggling with glee when he realises they're not. And it's like, well, isn't that the wonder of wrestling? That it was able to trick Louis Theroux as he comes in as a journalist going, I'm going to get to the bottom of this weird world. And he comes out and goes, that was incredible. I've never seen anything like it.
How did the bleeding start?
Blade. Right there. It's at the corner there.
Did it hurt?
No.
Well, as long as you're not really hurt. Right.
Yeah, people, they're like...
This is more than halfway through the episode. They've got nothing.
No.
Pete. Nothing at all. AIWF are still going, I should mention as well. Still,
Good.
All the guys are still it's all at the same level. Their current champion is called Sir Samurai.
Yes, please.
Magic. Mixing different things.
We need to go on a little trip, I think.
I love Sir Samurai because it gives me images of... It's either a samurai that's been knighted by the Queen or... It's a British guy who then became a samurai. And both of those stories are ones I'd happily hear.
Yeah.
And Louis heads down after this to the power plant. And he got some cameos from future stars like Chuck Palumbo is there. And primetime Alex Skipper is in the training camp. And he meets Pistol Pez Whatley.
Yes.
Did you enjoy Pistol Pez?
I did enjoy Pistol. Did I know a bit? Have I seen Pistol Pez Whatley?
No, not really. They don't... I mean,
he's very much the good cop, isn't he? He's very much the good cop in the...
I mean, he's a good cop, but he hurts people.
I'm going to pull on your head for a bit.
Pistol Pez Whatley was around in the 70s and 80s, and he was never a big mainstream star. He was a guy who was also enhancement talent for the last years of his career. It's a funny thing with the power plant where they didn't have, like we do now, if you like, in NXT, with Shawn Michaels running it. Back then, they were just like, these guys never drew a dime in their life, so they should definitely train the next generation. Almost like training was a thing that people didn't do unless they desperately needed money.
Yeah.
There is something about those guys, though, who aren't headliners, who see the business in its entirety, and they can give you that grounding, if you like. It's just that it's up to you to not then replicate the careers they had.
Right.
So Pez Whatley, and he comes, he does that classic thing that wrestlers do, which is very much a Stu Hart thing of just going, give me your hand, and you go, okay, and then they go, I'll go break that bit. And anyone can do that. If you know what it is, then you can do it to someone. It's just mean. What's sort of interesting about Pez Whatley is this is as good as he ever was, or never committed to TV and been better than he is in this show.
Yeah.
He does a promo class. You have Angry Allen, later become known as Kwee and have a short run.
Right.
And Hard Body Harrison are doing their promo class. And Kwee is 5 seconds under, as Pez does the countdown. He's like, you'd have been stuck there for 5 seconds of just dead air.
You think you're gonna hit me in the back of the head this time? It's not gonna happen, boy! I'm gonna rip your head off!
I thought you was on your hand for 5.
It was close, though. Yeah, it was close. Yeah, we narrowed it down to 4 seconds.
And then Hard Body Harrison comes in having seen this and manages to get 30 seconds of dead air. And Pez Whatley then does a little promo. And it is just that sort of thing about guys who have just been around long enough. I can't think Pez Whatley got to do many promos on TV.
No. Where's he learn that from?
He points, he's got his fists. He goes, I'm going to take this big old ham bone and I'm going to serve it up with a side of chitlins. It's just like, it's 1999. And it's like, Pez has learnt this from someone, who was active in the 50s, who learnt it from someone who was in the Great Depression.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I've never seen a crowd go madder than when I held up a ham bone and some chitlins. And they're like, use it in wrestling, and it's gone all the way through. But out comes Louis Theroux, and he does his. And I mean, they are impressed the fact that he can speak. He's a broadcast journalist, and get timing right. He's a broadcast journalist. The content is pretty weak, but it's sort of quite fun. And they all sort of go, "You're actually quite good here." I'm sort of surprised. I thought you'd be crap at that, and they sort of warmed to him a little bit.
Go. Waldo's the name. London, England's the place of origin. A new face on the block. I'm going to wrestle Pistol Pez Whatley, the one and only, the legendary. He's good, but he's been in the business a long time, and it's time for a new face to take over. Is it me? I hope so. I'm going to throw every move I know. I've been practicing. I've been trying really hard.
And what that does is it lulls Louis into a very false sense of security. One little note about Hard Body Harrison, it'd be a shame not to mention it. Hard Body Harrison did graduate from the power plant. He went into WCW, where he had a very low-level enhancement career. But in 2000, he was part of a multi-plaintiff lawsuit that was launched against WCW, involving also Sonny Uno and Bobby Walker, who was an African-American performer, where they accused the former parent company, AOL Time Warner, of racial discrimination. And they did eventually accept a large payout between them. So he got a big payout. That's the bit that you go, oh, good. In 2008, he was sentenced to life in prison. He had a sex trafficking ring that he ran. Lots of women who were forced into sex work, who he kept effectively as slaves. His defense was they were former drug addicts who wanted to learn how to wrestle. The victims talked about the coercion that he put them through. There was a lot of cycles of debt whereby if they didn't do cleaning duties properly, they would owe him money, and that made it impossible for them to break out of the thing. And then they were effectively pimped out in various locations.
I'm back on Louis' side.
Well, I mean, he appealed against his 35-year sentence in 2011. It failed. So, I mean, that really is the sort of, he's there for good. I know it happened 9 years after this documentary went out, probably 10 years after it was made. But, I mean, I thought you were a journalist, Lou.
The big licks with your another BBC sex crime.
Oh, it's Savile all over again. He then does the training session. He takes part in that, and he's so G'd up from the promo class going well that he thinks, oh, I've shown them a bit of respect, and now they're all on my side. And he fails to realise that the Sarge is genuinely a nasty little shit. He's just horrible. Wrestling trainers were one of three things. They were either honest and trained you. They either left with your money doing a moonlight flip and didn't even have a venue for you to turn up at. Or they're like Sarge, where they will train you, but they will also get out all of their anger and frustrations. You know, and the problem with wrestling, I think at this time as well, it still had that thing of you got to be tough.
Yeah.
You know, I think Jackass changed all that. It showed that tough guys didn't necessarily have to be really strong. I genuinely think that.
Yeah.
Jackass came along and then you were like, I don't need to be bullied by Dwayne Bruce.
I just put my willy in something.
Exactly. I'm going to get into this refrigerator, shit in it, and then I'll push it down a hill. Done. I mean, yes, he shouldn't be there, but then Sarge just sort of goes, I'm going to work him into the ground. And Sarge is sweating harder than anybody else in this, just shouting. The sweat is pouring off him. And everybody then starts that jock thing of trying to stop him from quitting. And I mean, I do respect Louis Theroux at this stage because he puts in some genuinely excruciating footage of himself. The first bit is when he just simply runs out and the cameras follow Dwayne Bruce just going into a thing, taking him off a bed where he's sort of laid down and pulling him back in while he goes, I can't. He's going, you're not quitting on me. There's a bit where he sort of says, say, sir, I'm a dying cockroach, sir, as Louis doing star sort of movements on the floor. And Louis Theroux says, sir, I'm a dying cockroach, sir. And they all go, ah! Like, you know, I can't believe
you just said it.
You've just said it. Of course he's going to say it. The man told him to. It's really frightening. But what's so good about that is it ends up with Sarge just making him sit on a bin and facing the wall. It's so humiliating. And at that moment, I did think, has this documentary got away from the man presenting it? where one person makes him sit on a bin and he meekly faces the wall and he's just got his head down. I thought to myself, the wrestlers have won this.
Yeah.
This didn't happen in any other. Every Louis Theroux thing is about how cleverly he skewers.
He floats in, then floats out.
And they barely even notice what he's doing, but he really. And you go, you didn't watch the one about WCW wrestling.
No.
They made him sit on a bucket and he faced the wall and he was totally broken.
And I don't want to. I'm going, nerd. Every nerd from my high school that I bullied mercilessly, yes, get in there.
There's
Waldo.
Sarge then sort of says, when he's just having this terrible time doing all this, and he says, you got the nerve to ask me that bullshit down at Nitro. You don't think we're not athletes? In fairness, that's not what he said. Not what he said at all. I think Sarge knows that, wasn't it? He is made to carry on. He collapses and collapses. Outside, they're running. He starts being sick. Sarge is just shouting and puke, which is really odd that there are two documentaries in 2 years
where someone from wrestling is demanding someone else
shouting
to
puke in the same way.
Huh? Oh my God! He's gonna puke! He's gonna puke! He's gonna puke! He's gonna puke! He's gonna puke!
That's it. Oh man.
They are just better at television than he is. They know how to deliver something for the people at home. And they use Louis Theroux and they push him and push him and push him because they go, this is content.
Yeah.
And Louis Theroux up to this point has thought that content is hanging around in someone's front garden going, oh, I hope you don't get hurt. You know, thank God for WCW.
That ain't nothing. You ain't done nothing. Blow chunks. Puke.
I wasn't sure what I'd experienced. I was just glad it was over.
I wasn't sure what I'd experienced. I was just glad it was over, he says. And a lot of people are sort of like, oh, that's so Louis Theroux and everything. And I just have that thing of going, we can all add funny lines on.
Yeah, exactly. You weren't saying that when you sat on the bed, Louis.
Exactly, yeah. When you were facing the wall, or when you were just like sobbing. And I mean,
being sick.
He did show, you know, it was important that he took part in that training thing. But again, they are pro athletes.
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen? Did you think you would keep up and they would go, you are good at this?
He would be doing the same if he did an NFL training session, a Premier League. He's just 6'3",
and of
beanball.
course, you wouldn't do that for them. You
No.
do it with wrestling because you go, it's beneath me.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
there you go.
Fuck around, find out. That's, it ends with him going back to those lads at the AIWF. And when he turns up, I noticed he was actually wearing an AIWF t-shirt. And I was like, this one is not about journalism, is it? The integrity of this has gone entirely out the window. I don't remember if in the Nazi episode he turned up wearing like a screwdriver t-shirt.
He's not been turned around.
No.
Yeah.
Brian Danzig had a lovely vintage Lemonheads t-shirt on as well.
Yeah.
I like everything about Brian Danzig.
More people outside of who are not into wrestling, they seem more obsessed about whether it's real or not. You know what I mean? Compared to the people who actually fucking watch it.
Do you know why? It's because until you've made that leap where you can go, I can watch something knowing it's not real and still derive the enjoyment that I would get out of it if it was real, that is big dick energy. And other people who are like, you do know it's fake, don't you? They are just like, I tremble in front of their brilliance to be able to suspend disbelief to enjoy something they know to be false. Those people are absolute fucking micro penis people.
Because I understood that it was staged, right? That this kind of wrestling, this kind of entertainment-based, character-based wrestling was choreographed. I don't even know, is it controversial to say that now? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is. I hope I'm not going to get into more trouble.
Oh, for fuck's sake, I will tell you one thing. People will go, but I really like Louis Theroux, and I think actually that seemed a weird sour grapes thing where you felt like it's now become your fucking territory or something.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's how I feel.
And can I just say as well, sorry, are you complaining about him being snarky when you're doing this fucking... I will say, I watched after this, I thought, it's weird, isn't it? It's like two different people. It's like some point in the 2000s, the original Louis Theroux, they went, I mean, this isn't going to fly, so let's get someone else in who looks like him, but is sort of more of a dad figure.
Yeah.
I watched his recent one with Rita Ora.
Right, okay.
I mean, it's a fucking watch. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Because Rita Ora, for a pop star, an internationally famous pop star, she's a bit naughty. You know what I mean?
Not just that. I will say, Rita Ora, I mean, there is no bigger pop star on the face of the planet, if you're Rita Ora, than Rita Ora. Halfway through the thing, who turns up? Taika Waititi. And it is the single most loathsome cameo I've ever seen in anything ever. It made my skin crawl. It's so weird. And the whole thing was just hideous. It was hideous from start to finish.
Mainly talking about your romance. How you got together?
Well,
couldn't help it. It's him. This is his power.
What works about it? The foundation of it. The chemistry.
Yeah.
The emotional give and take.
He's my best friend.
That's what I said.
Did you? Shut up.
So our stories.
So swear.
I swear.
No. Oh, what was that?
Snappy.
And Louis Theroux, you have to, when people go, I love Louis Theroux, you can go, you know what? Professional wrestling, the most popular sport in America, he did less research into that than he did into Rita Ora, a hit and hope, semi-competent pop star, who literally no one has an opinion on other than, oh God, it's Rita Ora. But watching him and Taika Waititi, it's so awful. They leave bits in where they're sort of like telling each other they're great.
I want to watch it now. I might watch it on the way home.
Oh, watch that. Watch the wrestling. Come back to this. That's the way to do it. And yes, apology accepted.
How many top tens have you had in the UK?
13.
Which is, I think, a record.
Most top 10s from a British female solo artist to come out of the UK in history. That's cool, huh?
That's amazing.